The conference room door wasn't fully closed. That tiny gap was all it took to ruin everything. A sliver of fluorescent light spilled into the dark hallway, and inside it, I saw Daniel leaning far too close to Ava. Their hands were tucked beneath the table, but I caught the subtle movement, the slow, intimate brushing of fingers. My breath hitched. The air felt colder. My pulse hammered so loudly I thought they'd hear it. I didn't push the door open. I didn't step inside. I simply stood there, watching the moment my marriage quietly collapsed. The next morning, he didn't bother pretending. "I'm filing for divorce," he said, voice painfully calm, like he'd practiced it. I stared at him across the kitchen table, where we'd once whispered about vacations, kids, plans. Now he couldn't even meet my eyes. "For her?" I asked. He flinched just a little. "This isn't about Daniel." I cut in, "Don't insult me." His silence was confirmation enough. The following weeks had a strange emptiness to them. Not dramatic, not explosive, just numb. He packed his things with quick, efficient movements, as though he'd been ready for this long before I caught him. I signed papers with shaking hands. At work, we passed each other like strangers in a crowded airport. Glances brief, expressions blank, as though 9 years together meant nothing. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he'd been unhappy. Maybe I'd missed the signs. Maybe people outgrow each other. But the truth sat like a weight in my chest. He had chosen someone else and hoped I'd quietly disappear. It was HR who shattered the quiet. They called me in early one morning. The director sat stiffly across from me, a thick file on her lap. Her tone was formal, careful. "We conducted a review," she said. "There was a violation of company relationship policy." I blinked. "You mean?" "It was not disclosed. They continued working together despite clear conflict of interest. We have no choice but to terminate both effective today." A strange mix of emotions hit me. Sadness, vindication, disbelief. This wasn't revenge. Not really. It was simply consequences finally reaching the people who'd been hiding in the shadows. When I stepped into the hallway, they were already there. Daniel was holding a cardboard box. His shoulders, once confidently squared, slumped forward. Ava stood beside him, face pale, lips trembling as she clutched her own box. They both looked painfully small. He looked up when he saw me. For a second, something like shame flickered through his expression, raw, unpolished, completely exposed. The first honest emotion I'd seen from him in months. "Please," he said quietly, almost begging, "don't think I wanted it to end like this." I swallowed the lump rising in my throat. "You made choices, Daniel. They led you here." Ava's voice cracked. "We didn't mean to hurt you." I almost believed her. Almost. But intentions don't undo betrayal. "You hurt yourselves too," I said softly. "You just didn't expect the fallout." He stepped forward slightly. "I lost everything today." "No," I said, shaking my head. "You didn't. You threw it away long before today." His eyes watered. Not dramatically, not manipulatively, just with the quiet devastation of a man realizing too late what he'd set on fire. The elevator dinged behind them. They walked toward it slowly, boxes in hand, futures uncertain. When the doors opened, they stepped inside together. No longer triumphant lovers sneaking around, but two people stripped of illusions. Daniel looked at me one last time. There was no anger in him, only regret. "I'm sorry," he whispered. For years, I'd imagined what it would feel like to hear those words. Right then, they felt small, too late, and painfully useless. The elevator closed. I let out a breath I'd been holding since the night I saw their hands touch in that half-lit room. Not a victorious breath, not satisfaction, not revenge. Just release. A quiet, steady kind of freedom that comes when the truth finally stops hiding. For the first time in months, the silence didn't hurt. It felt like a beginning,